FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation. 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 The Foundation.
The Foundation of Heart Grant is brought to you by Alive, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, the Deposit Insurance Corporation, Grand Bahama News, Marco's Pizza, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and Ross Electric Motors.
Sometimes it's soft as a misty rain that gently touches my soul. It cools the fire that burns in me, and I simply lose control. So just rain down on me, let your love just fall like rain, just rain on me. Just rain down on me, let your love just shower me, just rain on me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. The Foundation. On this rainy Monday afternoon, live in full effect. I don't know if you're in the city, you're out. But it's wet in the ground here. They tell me it's king tide. This might be King Kong tide. It's bananas. I hope you guys are out there doing absolutely wonderful on this glorious October 2nd, 2023. So happy to be in your company today. We're going to chop this thing down and kind of get into it today. I thank you for tuning in with us today. You know, I said 80s baby, molded in the 90s. So you said, what's that, SWV? That was SWV? Yeah, it's a little SWV for you. Got a little SWV. Guys, a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Kind of chopping this down. Let's take the edge off of Monday, I think. Right? You had your Alka-Seltzer Plus. You did your thing. Right? I'm hoping that in decency and order that you've identified whatever you were supposed to on the weekend. Did you muster some time for yourself? Did you? Did you get an opportunity to kind of do something for yourself? I don't. Someone say something to me. I don't. Hello? Between this here and children and wife, I don't have no time for me. I have to run away. Maybe this time I will take my credit card, not just one apple and a He-Man toy. But I gotta do it. It's a beautiful thing, guys. This weekend has been really jam-packed. We're doing a great deal of things, and I think over the next few weekends, I can expect the exact same thing. I'm hoping that you got ready, because we came through the time of birthing. Now it's time to kind of deal with that, and everybody knows when you've just given birth to something great, sometimes you're going to be able to stay up late nights. That's what it is. And for all those persons who have given birth to some great idea, this concept and whatever, over the past few months, we know now that you got to stay up late nights to ensure that you take care of that. So if that's business, if that's family, if that's relationship, whatever it is, we're hoping that you're being able to mentor that and take care of that accordingly. Guys, I want you to call in today and be a part of the show, 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands. 242-300, 5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. We're going to chop these things down. Make sure you pick up your Guardian newspaper. Guardian newspaper here today, October 2nd, 2023. You be urged to cancel LGBTQ panel talk. Christian Council rails against planned Pride event on campus. And comrades in the political battlefield, friends for life. You're going to be able to see Glennis Hannah Martin in there. All smiles with Obadiah Wolshcombe, the late, great Obadiah Wolshcombe in there. 16 injured in Grand Bahama boating accident. I saw some stuff come across my phone. I couldn't really make out what it was. It was like a 3-second clip with a bunch of people out there. And I saw so I didn't know exactly, but it was, I'm going through the pictures trying to see if I know any faces. But I couldn't make out anything accordingly, right? So DIT employee under investigation for firearm. We saw a lot of this over the weekend. Under investigation for firearms possession in the Office of the Prime Minister says, the Office of the Prime Minister said on Friday that it has been notified by the Royal Bahamas Police Force that an employee in the Department of Information and Technology at the office is currently under investigation concerning an alleged possession of firearms. Guys, if your phone anything like mine, don't ask me to speculate on the situation. Unless and until the thing comes to the forefront and it's fleshed out, then we can be able to speak to that with clarity and understanding. Also, the QC head boy dies at 17. This story was absolutely bananas. Got a call from a very good police officer friend this morning and indicated to me, Mr. Grant, please talk about these things. The 17-year-old boy that I know personally over at QC that passed away. I said, he passed away at school? He passed away at school. It was 12 o'clock in the day. He went to a school event and he just collapsed, right? We saw the information came to the forefront. And then this person indicated to me that in Eleuthera, it has been the exact same thing. We've seen another young man pass away from those things. Just to be able to verify those stories and put it to the forefront, I figure I could give it to you because it came from credible sources to talk about those things. But we're going to talk about all these things. But before we do that, in the spirit of decency and order, let's continue to be able to thank all those persons that sponsor the show, Alive, and all the sponsors that has been at the top of the show. I want to be able to say a special shout out to AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. They are my good people down there on Blue Hill Road South, number 407 Blue Hill Road South. They are in the business of ensuring that they give you affordability, access, and the kind of customer service that can turn your head. Trust me, I mean, Ethric Broad, my guys down there, him and his wife is always being able to do a great deal to ensure that you're accommodated, that they can use the technology and be able to give you that effective, efficient customer service. Please reach out to them at 3411-AFS, 3411-AFS. They'd be more than happy to assist you down there. It's just South, Blue Hill Road South, just east of the Golden Gates Shopping Center, so you can be able to reach out to them. Guys, this weekend has been, I want to tell you, man, it's been, I don't know. It's been one of those weekends. I wanted to talk to you about a few things. I wanted to talk to you like this and kind of kick this off. I made a significant telephone call, and tomorrow I'm hoping that it seems like they're tentative and ready to go with me. But tomorrow between 1 and 2, I want to have a conversation with you with the Christian Council, right? I want to have a conversation with you with the Christian Council to talk about this particular event. Just some observations that I've had that I don't care to divulge right now, but I need to talk about sustainability and second generation growth, right? So I want to talk like that. And tomorrow we're going to be able to talk with Bishop Delton Fernandez and President of the Bahamas Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernandez, and Vice President, none other than Pastor Mario Moxie. So hopefully those two can be able to confirm and sit with us at least for an hour tomorrow to give us some clarity on their position as it relates to what's going to be happening on Wednesday, kicking off this sort of quote unquote Pride Month. I don't know what's going on. So I want to hear about it. It's going to be a jam-packed week this week, ladies and gentlemen. On Wednesday, we're going to have the opening of the House of Assembly. I didn't get any information if we're going to be out there. If it's raining like this, I don't think I'll go out. but I'd like to kind of sit out there just to identify some things to see exactly what's what. Next week, Friday, I want to say this to you. Next week, Friday, which is going to be October 13th, is when they're going to lay the Honorable Obadiah Hercules Wolscombe to rest in Grand Bahama. And so for that show, for that day, I'm not going to have a show. Now, I'm contemplating whether or not I should even bother going to Grand Bahama because I know I won't be able to get a formal seat in the space. However, I would like to use this platform to pay homage to Obadiah Wolscombe for that time slot. So I want to extend to you, please put my number in your telephone, 827-0111. We're going to make a collage, okay? It's going to be an audio collage. I want guys to call me far and wide. I've identified some persons who I know had personal relationships with Obadiah Wolscombe. I want you to record that for me. And we're going to create that collage on the telephone, put it together, and then for that time slot, we'll hear old stories about it. Just quick. Don't give me more than 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. Tell me a story that really changed your mind about, or that speaks to the character, rather, that is Obadiah Wolscombe in his life. So we're going to create that kind of a space for you guys. But I want you to give me a call. Please. Let's put pride aside and know that. Because, people expect me to call him. I didn't know you had a relationship with Obie Wolscombe. People just call me and cuss me out. How you could call these people? Sir, I didn't even know that you knew these people. I think the principle of out of sight, out of mind is heavy right here. So with the greatest degree of respect, I'm hoping that you guys call me because I want as many people who can participate to participate. There are many people out there who know, who've had significant relationships with Obadiah Wolscombe, who knows him, who has been affected by his leadership and his position. So help me put this thing together. 827-0111, 827-0111, and we can do that. And then so on that Sunday, right after that, you know that we're going to be going to China. So we're going to have 2 pre-recorded shows for you on the 17th and the 18th. They're going to be very good shows, right? I'm thinking that I'm going to talk about climate change and technology. We're going to identify some people externally to have those conversations with you, and we'll drop it on those days. Now, the reason why I have to pre-record those shows is because I will be traveling to China, right? And if I'm jet lag or whatever I have to go through, you got to give me some time. I don't want to come on the radio groggy, right? But we have everything kind of set up for you over the course of the next 2 weeks. Also, I'd like to say to you on this Monday morning that it's not too late for you guys. If you want to be able to participate, if you want to get your marketing up, if you want to get a leg up, because the people already didn't start putting up Christmas decoration. They push all the way past Halloween, push past Thanksgiving, and we're deep into Christmas season right now. If you want to get a leg up on the products and services that you have or that you have coming in, whatever you're going to be able to do, make sure you do it with me here on the foundation. Give me a call, 827-0111. We get beautiful packages. You could support the foundation as we go over to China. And there's reciprocity here. So you're not only supporting me to be able to go and do the show live from China, simultaneously you're creating a space where you can be heard by the thousands and thousands of people who listen to us every day. So if you want to be able to do that, please give me a call, 827-0111. I can create a commercial for you if that's what you want to do. Whatever it is, we could kind of make that thing happen. So I wanted to just let you know, get all of that laundry out of the way before we do anything. Everything's still on the table. It is not too late for you to do some, to support us here at the foundation in this endeavor as we go off to find this sort of an information that's happening in the world market and bring it live and in full effect right here in real time on the foundation, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Yeah, I was starting to tell you about my weekend. I had a series of peculiar dreams. And then my son woke up and told me that he dreamt someone died. Right? He called the person name. It's not your business who the people is. They're not even family. He called the person name. And I kind of put one and one together, and I recognize and have to realize, I think a lot of us we're so wrapped up in our day-to-day business that we forget. This is only, we're sojourners here in this life. This isn't our home. This is not our eternal space. We're to be productive in this space, but we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. This is my conviction. And so when I have that, when I have these sort of intuitions, these dreams, these ideas, inclinations, I try to make this sort of an assessment to find out whether I am where I'm supposed to be. And if not, it's time for us to make some modifications. It has been absolutely bananas for me, what I've seen happen over the weekend with this young boy dying. Because over the course of maybe several Mondays now, we've come with this devastating news that something tragic has happened in our country, that something has been broken significantly, that this unexplainable action has taken place and we don't even know how to articulate that. What has happened? Many of us are still baffled by Obadiah Wolfskam's death and his particular capacity. And if you're anything like me, it leads to introspection. Many a politician, many a man are now asking themselves, trying to be able to figure out if their health is good. They say, oh, no, don't give me the stew fish this morning. No, baby, don't give me the curry. I mean the conch, the stew conch this morning. Let's go with a grapefruit and an egg. They'll do that for maybe about 3 weeks. I say that to say introspection leads to some level of change. And that change should be one that we can be able to see significantly to cause the community to move forward. Here comes another thing. If you look in the papers this morning, no, it wasn't in the papers. You know what it was? On NassauGuardian.com. If you look at the NassauGuardian.com this morning, right, you can see the kids holding their heads as they have a vigil, as they have this sort of a space that they've taken out to be able to identify and recognize the life that was the, let's call his name, Dario Raming. The life that was Dario Raming at Queens College. You could see the kids holding their heads. This transitional change is touching every subsector of our society. Can I say that? Whatever this change is that's happening, the zeitgeist of the moment, our time, this dispensation, the era that we live in, is changing and touching every single subsector in our society. Now the young people got touched. What I mean by it is that this is such a significant, bright young mind with such a bright future ahead of him. We're baffled as to why the universe would allow this thing to happen. That's what the young people, they're holding their heads trying to figure this out. And as they try to figure this out, there needs to be someone who can lend a helping hand, a shoulder, grief counseling of sorts that can help young people work their way through this. Many times things happen, you'll leave them to their own devices and you expect everything to be okay. This brokenness, it grows with you. And it comes out at times when you just don't want it to happen. In your adult life, you find yourself repeating and reliving trauma that was never dealt with as a child. I want to be able to see, because I think I see Denzel Rowe was in the picture. And any one of the persons that can be able to lend some sort of grief counseling over at QC, I want to be able to commend you. If you're in a space that you can lend volunteer grief counseling in your professional capacity, professional, please, professional. in your professional capacity, I encourage you to reach out to QC and assist them at this particular time. If you're in Eleuthera and you're listening to me and you have that same capacity and capability, please reach out. I'm going to get the information about the school and whatnot, see if we can be able to do that. But guys, the lines are wide open. If you want to be able to have this conversation, I know you want to talk with us about politics. I know you want to talk to us about the transition. I know you want to talk to us about possibly what the speech from the throne will take or be able to hold into it. Whatever that is, please give me a call. And we can do that. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Violence, 242-300-5720, or hit me up 422-4796. Quick commercial break and be back after this.
Foundation.
The Foundation with Howard Grant. We'll be back right after this.
We've been with you from the very start, leading the way and providing you with the best in primetime sporting experiences. From one goal to the next, you can count on us for full access to the best sports channels at home or on the go. Make Rev your only choice. Visit rev.bs. Every match, every game, every moment. Rev, your home for sports.
America completely run out of it.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Guardian Radio and the Foundation are on the move.
Bahamas, this one's for you.
SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Every Thursday, the Foundation with Howard Grant will highlight small businesses throughout the country, far and wide. Your products, services, prices, and personality. We want to hear it all. Get your 30 or 60-second advertisement heard on air at a fraction of the cost. We here at the Foundation understand the times and don't want you to be left behind. With Guardian Radio, you reach your specific demographic and it is unmatched.
We reach thousands daily.
Get your products off the shelf and your services in their hearts. Small Business Thursdays with the Foundation, only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For more information, call 302-2300 or the Help Me Howard line at 827-0111. SBT. Small Business Thursdays. Get your business moving today.
Foundation. Foundation. The Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this a little bit wet. It's a little bit wet. It's a wet, rainy Monday afternoon, October 2nd, here in the city of Nassau. Wherever you're tuning in with us, we say good afternoon. I know Texas is always listening in. South Florida is listening in. I know that I got some telephone calls from Carolinas. One or two persons called me from Atlanta. We got some people in California that's tuned in with us. Grand Bahama is always on with us. South Andros is always kind of giving us a shout. Wherever you are throughout the diaspora here as a Bahamian, as a listener and a participant, we say, good afternoon. You remember that? Remember you used to call the 911, was it 914? Good afternoon. Today's date is, am I too old? You remember? Did you remember that? Guys, we're hoping that you're good out there. Wherever you are, the lines are wide open today. Please give me a call, 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Islands, 242-300-5720, or hit me up, 422-4796. Is that a call we got? Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hi, good day. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. My name is Alexis DeMarco. I am the founder of the Rebirth of Pride Bahamas. And I'd just like to say my statement as it relates to the Bahamas Christian Council.
Okay.
They, too, have a right to protest to agitate. That's the constitutional right. Everybody has their right. But when you begin to misrepresent, that's where I have the issue, and I'd like to draw the line. I think what it is that they misrepresented the event for what the event is being held. This is our 4th year hosting Pride Bahamas, and the University of the Bahamas has always supported us with events. So maybe they're just catching up to the times, but this is our 4th year of Pride Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
And UB, if you would read the UB Act, it's a very inclusive space. Mm-hmm. So in the clause, it talks about non-discrimination of one's sexual orientation in the space. Mm-hmm. So I'd just like to say that the University of the Bahamas approves the hosting of Pride Week. The keynote address entitled Black Bahamian Subjects Formation from Non-Subject to Subject Part 2, which will be done by Dr. Primel Sanders. She is a UB faculty staff and a member of the Sociology Department. In the context of the reaction by the Bahamas Christian Council, Mr. Daniel Thompson, president of the Union of Tertiary Educators, affirmed the support of non-discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and academic freedom at UB, and UB identified institution. The Bahamas Christian Council continues to misrepresent the preamble of the Constitution, which asserts the respect for Christian values, as if it inscribes a Christianity bureaucracy. The main body of the institution inscribes the right. And that's our statement from Pride Bahamas.
Alexis, can you do me a favor, please? Can you send that to me, 827-0111? Is that okay?
827?
827-0111.
Okay.
Now, once I got you, let's talk. You want to talk just for 2 seconds?
Sure.
I'd like to know, why do you think that there is an external phobia to this sort of transition or this evolution internally in our country? Talk to me about it.
I think what it is because we've buried our head in the sand for too long. And what the saying is, the hands have come home to roast or roost. Mm-hmm. We have not ever had a conversation about LGBTI citizens of this country. We go to all these big meetings at the UN, the OAS, and we sign all these treaties, the Sustainable Development Goals. And in all of those documents, there's one clause, leaving no one behind. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean, leaving no one behind? That means leave the LGBTI citizens behind? Does that mean leave the disabled behind? Does that mean leaving the youth behind, vulnerable poor youth? So, again, we have not had a real conversation, especially at a national level, with respect to LGBTI citizens. So we have this hysteria and we have this panic. People fear what they don't understand. And I can understand the concerns of my Bahamian people because growing up, when you heard your family talk about LGBTI people, it was always in a disgusting, derogatory manner. So you grew up with these thoughts and notions of these types of human beings. And the problem, too, is that people sexualize the LGBTI community. It's beyond sex for them. It's not about the sexual act for them. It's about being human, being a citizen of this country, to be able to walk into a police station and report violence, that someone, for an example, beat you up. And when you go into that police station and you report that, and you're met with this by a state agency telling you, oh, if you wasn't a sister, you wouldn't get beat up. Mm-hmm. That's not right. When you go to access health care, just basic general health care, as probably an feminine person, excuse me, and you meet with the nurses, so and your identity document says something else, but you present a different way. And they call all the doctors and all the nurses mockery and scorning you. That's not right. So what is available to a lot of people in this country is not accessible to some of our citizens. And that is the issue. That's why we have Pride Bahamas, to talk about the issues that we face. When we go to rent an apartment, and you have during a natural disaster, this is the real story I'm talking about, Hurricane Dorian, 2 women went to rent an apartment, both gender non-conforming. The landlord said, which one is the man and which one is a woman? Because 2 of y'all look like sissy women, and I ain't renting my apartment to no sissy woman. During a natural disaster, Hurricane Dorian. So what we had to do as an organization is we had to be able to allow them to claim asylum on those basis of grounds of discrimination during a natural disaster. Now they're living in England. So the issues that we face as a community, people are not aware of them. People just think, oh, they just want to have sex and be in the road holding hands. That's not what Pride is about. Pride is about the education on the issues that we face. When parents throw their children out to the street because they identify as LGBTI, we as an organization have to pick those same kids up, put them to the Department of Social Services, and watch them graduate and become somebody.
Now, let me ask you this question, Alex, while we're here with this. Now, because the one thing that popped up to me is the unilateral approach that you've taken to talk about how documentation and whether it is debt for nature swapping or the concepts of treaties externally and us being able to sign on to them, there's this clause that exists in there that says no one left behind, right? That this idea that is all inclusive. But I want to ask you this because before we could step into an international water, we got to swim through the murky tradition and culture that exists here in the country. So I want to ask you this. How long has the LGBTQ community has been formed in the country? I'm not talking about persons who identify as that. I'm talking about the establishment formally of this organization in the country.
Well, the first organization was called the Rainbow Alliance, and that was the first time you saw an advocacy group step forward as it relates to the protection of LGBTI citizens when Bishop Sam Green at that time said that if the Parliament passes any act for two people to get married, he will blow up Parliament. And that's where the birthing of the advocacy movement came from, the Rainbow Alliance.
And this would have been in early 2000s?
Yes.
Early 2000s.
Way before that, like 1997, 98, around that time. Right?
This was just around the same time that we would have seen Rosie O'Donnell.
During that particular time.
Okay, so
you saw the emerging of activists such as Aaron Green,
yes.
Helen Cranara, Dr. Craymel Sanders, people coming out and talking about, hey, these people, these citizens exist, perceived or known, right? And it's not about the sexual act. It's about their existence as a citizen. For you to make a statement like that you will blow up, you would not be charged as an arsonist or threat to the Parliament. And everybody just had it as a fly-by-night. Oh, okay, that's the bishop. He can get away with that. He can say that. And I think this is where the lecture is coming from Dr. Craymel Sanders, to talk about, as black Bahamians, what we had to endure during this particular time. And that's where you see the formation. And the lecture is also inclusive when it talks about the struggle of how, as black people, we couldn't go into the hotel. You know, it's going to show the intersectionalities as we face as a country back then to now.
So do you believe...
the movement has been going on from way back then.
So do you believe that this is a push against... This is a cultural push, or this is a push with religion and faith?
No, I just think it's a push for relevancy at this time. You know, the Christian Council has been amicable as it relates to... and there's been a vast improvement in their language of LGBTI citizens, right? There are some issues we come together on to change. I sat in a meeting with them at the Ministry of Health when they were talking about climate change, right? So we have some things that we agree on. And we agree on that our advocacy is not violent. Like, we're hearing this vigilante talk come about at the event. But like I said, I'm not concerned about that because the Christian Council is saying with no violence, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the supporters and the other new parties that are trying to be formed may be trying to incite that, but that's not what they are about as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's ever going to be a real fear of violence being incited, but I believe that they're going to stand strong. Their convictions are rooted in faith.
And I agree to that. And I always tell my community, they have a right, and that's their right. So does the LGBTI community have a right to stand, gather, protest, or whatever they choose to do. That's the Constitution. That's the beauty of our democracy.
So what's the overarching objective?
Sorry?
What's the overarching objective? What would you like to see yielded and actually come out of this?
The theme this year is Forward, Upward, Onward Together, a road to inclusion, keeping in with the celebrations of our 50th independence. We want to be able to see the inclusion of LGBTI citizens, removing stigma and discrimination in their access to justice, their access to education, their access to housing, their access to employment. These are the and healthcare. These are the 5 principles that we work with. Just how you can go into a house, an apartment, and rent without stigma and discrimination, they want to be able to do the same thing. Just how you can access healthcare without stigma and discrimination, they want to do the same thing. Just how when a student may be perceived or known as an LGBTI student and not be stripped and be told you are not morally fit to become a prefect or a head boy or a head girl, we want that type of stuff to stop. Because what happens is you make them feel lesser than. You understand?
Do you think that
you're all human? Sorry?
Do you think that you're contending with a mindset socially, change with legislation, or do you believe that this is an educational issue?
Well, through legislation in 1991, the Bahamas was the first to decriminalize, right? Same-sex acts. Following fifth now is
1991 was what we call, I think it was the Boogery Act at the time.
Yes.
Okay.
That's been decriminalized, right? So it's legal. So in that act, even though the law is passed, you still have to change your mindset because some even know that it's legal to be LGBTI in the country, right?
But the legality exists within the confines of your own space, in your own house.
Correct, within your own space, but as the individual, there are still some things that as a citizen they are entitled to. They are protected, and they're entitled to these things. This is not a privilege for them. This is a right for them, according to our Constitution, right?
Right. I want to talk to you about this because I think you and I are going to have a further conversation. I like how you called today. I'd like to talk to you about this because if we're going to look at what existed in 1991, that was for the purposes of carnal pleasure. If you can look at the law was only for the purposes of carnal pleasure within the confines of your own home. But when you come out into the public and you show these acts of affection that are unseemingly.
Well, see, you're using the word acts of affection. You're talking more about the sexual act. There's nobody, I can show you in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that there's nobody having sexual acts in public. And I'm sure that people who are perceived to be LGBTI, either me or you, have never seen them having sexual acts. So again, are we talking about the sexual act as the problem, or are we talking about the individual's existence?
Do you believe that you're fighting perception?
I'm fighting cultural norms. I'm fighting our cultural system. I'm fighting what we've been taught how to hate people. If you meet a child that comes into contact with an LGBTI person, they don't know nothing about LGBTI. They just know that's a human being. They hug them, they talk to them, they play them. But we begin to say, "Oh no, don't mess with that one. That's a sissy. We put these things in the mindset of our people and of our young people.
Despite the fact that it's
being
not
human.
Now, so let's talk like this then, Alexis. I will be very clear with you. Despite the fact that everything that we traditionally that cling to, like you indicated in the preamble that talked about the respect for Christian values, that goes deeper within the Christian church. We are, for the most part, for the 4,000 and some churches that exist, a Christian nation. And for the governments that existed prior and continue to be able to rule in this land, Christianity, with the head church being in the Anglican Church, is a forerunner. So I want to say that everything that the traditional Bahamian family does is to show normalcy. Boy, girl, and all these things. As superficial as it is, even down to pink and blue. So to see something different in their formidable age, at the ages of 4, 5, 6, 7, do you believe the fear is this is confusing our children?
I think the fear is that people are afraid, yes. People are afraid. And again, they're afraid because they don't know. They have family members who may be, I have family who gay and is sissy, but we love them. But you don't never had a conversation with them to understand what discrimination they face having to navigate in the country, right? We have the highest rate of asylums in the Caribbean region of people leaving, claiming to be LGBTI and leaving and going to different countries, which is their human right, right? So obviously we have a problem, right? And we have to identify why most of our persons who identify as LGBTI leave to go to the Americas or leave to go to Canada and claim asylum against the Bahamas. right? It's something we're not doing, or it's something that's happening to them that's causing them to do this. And then again, it's because there's no protection.
I like this conversation, Alexis. I want you to be able to take my number, 827-0111. Please send me that press release so we can talk about that. And also, once I get your number...
And wait, I want to say something else before you go.
Go ahead, Anga.
LGBTI people are people of faith, too, and they are very spiritual people. We're not taking away their faith. And again, when we talk about the Christianity and the preamble of the Constitution, it's when A.D. Hannibal cracked that, and he made that quite clear before he died. He said, it is the choice for you to decide which religion you choose to practice. And again, in our practices, we discriminate against the Rastafarians. We discriminate against, even in the religious sector, the Seventh-day Adventists. We discriminate against the Jehovah's Witness. Like, these things are cultural things. When the Jehovah's Witness knock on the door, we're being taught to run. Don't open the door. And we teach these values and these cultures, and it's passed down to our generation. LGBTI people are people of faith, too. They subscribe to Christianity. They subscribe to other religions. The thing about it is, are we going to be inclusive of society and leaving no one behind, including LGBTI community? It has nothing to do with the sexual act, but the human being and the system.
I thank you so very kindly, my brother. This has been an informative, engaging conversation, and I like your transparency and openness to have this conversation with me. I look forward to getting your text and see if we could be able to do something more formal.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so very kindly. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been none other than Alexis DeMarco. Wanted to be able to talk about the fact that their LGBTQI community has been misrepresented, and they want to be able to have clarity and conversation about that. And I want to do so also. I believe that the one thing, and I think that this is for both, more so for the LGBTI community in the country. There is this kind of an idea, and whenever Alexis comes on with us, I'd like to kind of put this on the table. There is an idea that you can be able to speak about the concept and idea of democracy and how other persons should be able to take this on. There is also an idea that the words like inclusion would be able to charge you to move in a particular direction. But I need you to understand something. Christianity is a closed circuit. Can I say that? Is it okay to say that? Christianity is a closed circuit. There's nothing open, right? You ever see these people on Facebook? They give you these sections now. You're married, you're single, you're widowed, and then I see them people putting stuff like open relationship, which I think is bananas. I think it's absolutely bananas, right? This new concept of open relationship, this ever morphing, ever molding concept that accepts certain things and rejects it depending on time and season is not Christianity. And I think that there is going to be a significant fight uphill as you continue to be able to push forward with these things. Let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Foundation.
Prevention and control of dengue fever in the Bahamas will depend on how well we can together eliminate the mosquitoes that carry the virus and their water-breeding sites. This is a community effort. Every week and after rainfall, check your yard for items that hold water, tip and turn or remove. Talk to your neighbors and encourage them to inspect their yards as well. Check inside your home for places where mosquitoes can get in or breed. Use an indoor insect repellent safely to help destroy mosquitoes. Fight the bite. Do your part to protect you and your family from dengue fever. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
Foundation. 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 The foundation.
Wait, ladies and gentlemen, we're back live and in full effect on this Monday. Y'all dry it up. It's getting hot in here. Y'all got my phone hot in my hand. It goes straight off as we talk about these particular things. Ladies and gentlemen, just got a call from Alexis DeMarco to talk about the misrepresentation for the LGBTQI community in the country, to talk about these things. And I just wanted to do so with a level head. I just wanted to do so level-headed. It's not for me to judge you. It's not for me to judge you. I did that in the second grade in 8 Mile Rock High School, in Martintown Primary School. I joined in. Can I say this? Is it okay to tell this story? Someone text me and say, Howard, tell a story. I ain't gonna say nothing until you tell me. Howard, tell the story. 827, the 422-4796. Howard, tell the story. You gotta text me. You gotta let me know. I just need to know that, because I can't hear you saying, preach, pastor, go ahead. So I got a story. I want to tell you this story, right? You got 5 minutes, all right? And I want to be very clear about this. Second grade. Somebody said it. Howard, tell the story. Somebody said it. Praise God. I'm with you. Second grade, Martintown Primary School. The names of these persons will be held because people from 8 Mile Rock know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, then that's your business. We got 3 minutes before we get out of here. I tell you the story as quick as I can. Second grade, 8 Mile Rock High School, this young man who was always, second grade. I'm sorry to you. Third grade. Because second grade, I broke my leg. I was in the school for the entire second grade. Third grade, this guy comes to school with a brassiere on. Now, bra and brassiere is two different things. For all you young people, the brassiere got at least 1,000 clips in the back, right? Grammy said, help me put on a brassiere. You got to put your foot in the back and help up. Anyway, so he came to school with a brassiere on, this guy. And everybody, every child they was baffled by the fact that this guy came to school in a bra and a brassiere. We didn't understand. Third grade, we little children. We are little children. And they started to chant around the little, I will never forget this as long as I live. They started to chant around the little boy. Sissy, and then they attach his name. Sissy, and then they attach his name. This went on for at least at least about 20 minutes. I don't know, I wasn't good at time, but it felt long as hell. But the rhythm was so good that you participated. As we evolved in 8 Mile Rock, this young man has become one of the most fierce fighters. He was like an MMA because he had to fight every day. You think Celie had to fight? All of his life he had to fight. This gentleman. As I grew, he and I are good friends, Very good friends. When I see him, I was one of the few people who could hail him because I don't get in people's business. I told you all this before. I is always big. So if I don't want nobody talk bad but me, I don't talk bad but people. That was the principle I lived on. Didn't understand that in the third grade. Grew to understand that, leave people alone. And in leaving people alone, I understood that he didn't have the strength in his community to tell him to go one direction or another. So he evolved into this thing, and I feel like it's our fault. Can I say that? Not the children. I feel like the collective community never identified these things and dealt with it. There are stories after stories that I can tell you about now with the label of LGBTQI on it. But the only thing in our culture and subsectors of our community knew these persons as the sissy. But they are friends. They're family members. there needs to be a conversation to flesh out the fact that convictions will stay still and not genuflect to a concept or an agenda that exists externally. But there also needs to be a space to be able to have these conversations. I believe that. Let's take this commercial break, guys, get to news, and be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation. The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation. The Foundation. Listen to me. The thing is absolutely bananas today. Thank you so very kindly, guys. If you want to participate and be a part of the telephone, be a part of the conversation today, please give me a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300-5720. Or 422-4796. I want to say something. I got a couple telephone calls on the end right after we did that, had the conversation with none other than Alexis DeMarco, and being able to speak to us about misrepresentation for the LGBTQ community here in the country and what this gay pride and this sort of a gay month, Pride Month, is all about, and being able to bring clarity to those particular spaces, indicated that it's been going on for 4 years. And maybe the pronouncements or the media or, these guys just recently catching up has drawn this kind of attention to what they've been doing for the past 4 years. Alexis has indicated to us that from the late 90s to the early 2000s, we would have seen formality coming out with the Rainbow Alliance and a pronounced position that continue to be able to see formality leading forward, moving forward, to give those persons in our community, these LGBTQ community persons within the length and breadth of the country, a safe space to run into. This is sort of the gist of the conversation of what he and I had. Now, I want to be able to apologize to you, Alexis, just with the greatest degree of transparency. I try to be as decent as possible. Can I say that? Everybody knows that. I do my best to be decent. I'm not here to rain down condemnation or go contrary to what your pronouncements are, no matter what my convictions are. All right? So someone texts me and says, Howard, you said brother. You called him brother. I didn't know. It was just sort of a natural thing. Sorry, I am truly apologetic to you, Alexis. If I did that, if I offended you, that's not the intent. So I wanted to do that. If I said it on air, I'd like to be able to formally apologize to you on air. That if I've done that, I didn't hear myself say that. But a couple of people text me and says, how you did say that. So please forgive me. Please forgive me, Alexis DeMarco, in your particular capacity. I think that you're the head of the LGBTQ community. I want to give you my number again, 827-0111, 827-0111, in those capacities. Now, also, the one thing that popped out for me is asylum. When you start to talk about persons going to the United States of America or to London for asylum, to claim asylum against the discrimination that exists locally. Now, let's shoot straight. We ain't here to pull punches. And because there's no formality associated with how you rent an apartment, then you don't have to be able to sign up to identify in black and white that you've applied for these things. They ask you about your race. They ask you about your gender. They ask you about your ethnicity. They ask you about your sexual orientation. And as a result of these particular things that you signed up on, you could be able to identify that these people are discriminating against you because of any of these subsectors. Because we don't have that formality, I don't know whether or not there is a way that we can identify locally that and statistically that this particular thing happens. However, if we shooting straight today, however, I have heard significant conversations and people would call me and say, these people called me, Howard, these sissy fellas try to rent my place. They must be stupid. Listen, my phone open far and wide in the country. Okay? And so I'm not oblivious to the fact that people get to decide with their property what they wish to do. People get to decide with their property what they wish to do. I really don't get, the type of calls that says to me, how would you believe that these people wouldn't take my children in their apartment? Are they stupid? I don't get that call. But there are places that says no children allowed. One child. The child have to, they make stipulations. No pets allowed. These stipulations that people make in their own spaces that they didn't get any money from the government to develop, these are not public spaces. These are private spaces that they're giving you access to. You understand? So there needs to be formality and technology that you can now identify, because when you start to talk about claiming asylum, with the economic deprivation that exists in the Bahamas, you remember the Johnsons went to Canada and say that they are climate refugees? You remember that? Climate refugees. We laughed so much at them. And then the hurricane hit, and then we strongly considered, how can I get to Canada to claim that I'm a climate refugee? Someone talk to me. With the economic deprivation and crunch that we have in the country right now, there are people who ain't got no jobs. They're trying to figure out how they can make this. And I've heard stories upon stories that indicated once you get to Canada, they're going to take care of you for X amount of months and provide you opportunity to be able to feed you, so forth and so on, as they go through the proper paperwork, blah, 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 blah. And if they identify these things and everything is above board, then you have an access and opportunity. I hear these stories. But if they're going to claim asylum based upon the fact that they are LGBTQ and they have been discriminated against and find themselves in a position where they can't take care of themselves or their families, and they decide to go elsewhere, how many other persons are going to claim the exact same thing and flee from the country under the guise that they've been discriminated against simply because they have a different belief? So that's the question I have. And so if there's any transparency to this, if there's any truth to this, that persons are really claiming it's, and this ain't me saying that I don't believe that that they're doing this. If they're doing this, my question to you, Alexis, is that how does this happen? Constitutionally, it is against the constitutional law, rules, regulations that exist in this country that we discriminate against anyone based upon gender, based upon sexual orientation, based upon religion, based upon any of these particular things. So if this is happening, how do we document this information? Who gets to solidify, give the notary public to identify the fact that this is really happening? Where does this information come from? If that's the case, my God, in 2020, for that 2-year span, there should have been more persons indicating asylum for the purposes of the same, because things is rough around here. So I won't talk like that, guys. Please give me a telephone call today, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Islands, 242-300. Y'all sending me a ton of voice messages. You wilding out today. Please send those voice messages to 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Islands, 242-300-5720. See the text coming through, right? Or 422-4796. It's Howard. You really realize you kept saying, my brother, I honest to God, I promise you from here, with the greatest degree of transparency, I did not know. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I apologize. Because I don't want him to think that this was intentional, and I want to be condescending. That's not my style. I don't do that. All right. So I just want to be very clear about that. All right. Here we go. So it says, I know a number of gays and lesbians are constantly successful in moving in and out of apartments all the time. You don't necessarily need asylum for that. Bahamians may now need asylum for easier economic power. Wow. That's heavy, right? These people need to stop. Yo, stop texting me, okay? Stop it. These indecent people. Say that's why. Say don't apologize, man. Howard, that's what he was born. Listen, man. Yo, don't fight me. Don't fight me. Behave yourself. Let's be decent today, right? Between 12 and 2 every day. Put your decency cap on, amen. Put your decency cap on. Okay? And put it on the right way. Don't put it on backwards. Let's take the telephone call. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Howard. How are you?
I'm good, man.
I'm good, too. So, I just want to offer a comment.
This is my brother. What's happening, my brother? Praise God. Go ahead.
Everything is well. Everything is well.
Praise
I
God.
tried to stay out of this. Several points I just wanted to understand, and I say understand from the position of Bahamian Joe Public. I'm Joe Public. I think we should all be concerned, and here's what a concern I would have. A, if there are documented acts of discrimination that happens to any number or member of the Bahamian society, that's a concern for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because as Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere, there's injustice everywhere. So we must be concerned about something like that. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we have to be careful now. If we agree collectively that there is injustice that is not sought actively to be made right, we condone that. And then I have a third concern. If we are then recognizing that all of these injustices has happened, agreeing that they're documented everywhere, I would like to know, what does it say about us? So on those 3 points alone, I dismiss the claim. I, Joe Public, dismiss the claim because there are any number of ways that persons could protest the situation that happened against them. Now, I've been in this country, which I love, and abroad for my entire life. And I've not seen where someone has evidence and laid it on the feet of the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Bahamas through complaints to Royal Bahamas Police Force and say, here are the 1,500, 1,600, 2,000, I don't care what the number is, of persons who, A, could not get a job because they just simply were gay or lesbian or whatever, could not send their children to school because they were XYZ, could not get housing, could not. See, it's okay to make that assertion, and I'm not taking away the person's belief that those things happen. But I would encourage those persons, okay, if that is indeed happening, report it, document it, make the state hear you through the avenues which exist. Now, I am not against your position to do that. I support that. I encourage that. But I'm cautious, though, because we cannot easily make these assertions against the Commonwealth of the Bahamas without prima facie evidence. It is dangerous to do so. And so I have to stand as Joe Public, hoping that my country is not the country where these things happen, and leaning on the evidence to be presented that supports the view that I have as a citizen of this country.
Wow. I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. Thank you so very kindly for your contribution and being able to put it on the table the way that you have. For me, a couple of people calling me right now. How would you apologize? Let me tell you something. Y'all need to stop. Why don't you just let me be decent, okay? Let me be a decent man. Let God arise and every man scatter. Amen? Let me be decent. Don't fight me. I get text wilding out on my telephone right now. How would you apologize it for? Yeah, because I don't want to be, listen, I don't want to be offensive to people. That's not my style. I really wish I could tell you this, people, because the thing rhymes so well. When they call him Sissy, the thing rhymes so well. And as I grew up, I understood something. Oh man, my daddy said to me, my father and I were talking, we talk periodically, just about, this is the only way I could get for him to, because he don't do the nostalgic stuff, but he'll tell you a story, and then he'll give you an old reference. It's a decent man, I love him, right? But he don't want to sit down and talk about whatever it is. But he'll tell you, he'll wrap it up in a story. You just got to be sharp enough to understand what to take out for you for this particular story. And I think he and I was speaking when I was in Grand Bahama the other day about me as a youth, right? And I was just trying to draw a contrast between the way that my children wild out and how they make me extremely exhausted in comparison to how I was a child, right? And he says, listen, you were never a normal child. And so I was always like a peculiar child. He always knew that there was something weird about me. There was something strange because I could remember at 5 having deep, in-depth prayer and conversation with God at 5 years old. And that has never stopped. That's never stopped. So my father always knew, okay, this dude is a weirdo. That introspection in life, that kind of, that constant nagging inside of me to stretch out a conversation, stretch out a scenario, led me to say, why did we call that boy a sissy when I was in grade 3? Why? Why would children call another child that all of us enjoyed playing with a sissy at 6 years old? And then it led me to think about the way that society damages fragile individuals. And as a result of damaged goods that exist in our society, when I used to work the Burns house, anytime the bottles break, you used to put them in breakage. That's our responsibility. You couldn't throw it away because it was a part of inventory, but you had to put it in breakage. The question I have is the LGBTQ, based upon our society, based upon our tradition, are they the proverbial breakage of our society that wants to be counted as a part of the inventory? This is only proverbial. I don't want you to think. That's the question that I have. And if they want to be counted as the part of the inventory, because I cannot throw these bottles away, they are a part of the inventory that we got. If I can't throw these bottles away, how do we now count them to make them feel a part of it? That's the question I have. Let's go to the telephone lines. Caller on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hi, calling back. This is Alexis again.
Hey.
As it relates to pronouns, I understand people still struggle with pronouns, and I'm fine with that.
Yes, thank
If
you.
you don't want to say she, her, miss, Mr., sister, you can just say Alexis. I'm
Okay, yeah, that's what I did.
That's my legal name.
Praise God.
So, for me, I want to answer the caller's question and your question when you talk about the documentation of these types of human rights violations that happen to citizens in our country. And we do record it. We have a system called SID. It's called the Shared Incident Database that is sponsored to us through the United Nations. We've been having this system for the last 5 years, and it's called the Shared Incident Database, sponsored out of Jamaica.
Before you go further, who populates the SID, the Shared Incident Database? Is that populated by the Royal Bahamas Police Force or internally within your organizations?
It's through the NGO, through our NGO, that we record the human rights violations that happen to persons in the community. So if something happens to them and they report it to the police and the police they go back to the police and the police say they can't find the report, we now have a backup system to show that was reported to an NGO. We are registered in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as an NGO to be able to take these human rights violations. So this is why we have pride to share this data that we've collected over the year. So there's a part of the pride that's going to talk about state agencies and what happens when LGBTI communities try to access state services, the discrimination that they face. So we do have that in place, and we do report these types of incidents. I'm talking about, when you talk about people reporting and claiming asylum, do you know how many people went ahead to Canada and said that they were LGBTI? The report comes back to me. It has to be verified from somebody in the LGBTI community to say that you know this person to be LGBTI before they grant that asylum. We had a lot of straight people doing this.
Alexis, hold on. So you mean to tell me that people showing up on the Canadian border saying, yes, good afternoon, yes, I'm gay, or however, I'm a part of the LGBTQ community, and they have to have certification or identity, they have to have the direct connection with the community here locally before they can get asylum?
Correct. You have to be verified because of the amount of fraud. Because of the amount of...
So you mean to tell me heterosexual people are claiming asylum? They are willing to be... This with Larry and Chuck. Did you remember the movie with Larry? This is too much.
Yeah, I've seen that.
This is too much.
See, these are the things that our decision makers and our gatekeepers don't know. Because we don't ever have these real conversations about the lives of Bahamian citizens.
But I want to ask you this.
And then you do have people who claim asylum based on economic impoverishment, based on political affiliation, based on threats of death because of their political affiliation. There's so much people that have access to the asylum system in Canada. But it has reached a breaking point where the fraud part of the asylum system, persons pretending to be LGBTI just to get the benefits of living in a different country, that's why they had to start using the verification system, that someone in the community has to know that you're a part of this community.
Alexis, you cannot go, because you didn't call twice now, so you might as well hold on right now, because I got a lot of telephone calls and I got a lot of questions. And the question I
just
have
wanted
is...
to clarify those 2 points that is in place.
All right.
Relates to the documentation.
But I need to know this.
If
SID populates this information, but your NGO can be able to supersede whether or not the information exists within the Royal Bahamas Police Force, then essentially you are policing unto yourself within the confines of a sovereign community. Bananas! This is bananas to me.
We're ensuring that if they report it to the police and they go back and the police say they can't find it, we have it. If they go to social services and report something and the social services treat them any kind of way, we have the documentation and we can go back to the heads and to the state. This is actually the policing of state agencies. That's what it is, to be accountable. Because what happens is when you report types of violences, you're met with this hostility from state agencies. That's why we started documenting this through the Shared Incident Database. and sponsored through Jamaica by the Caribbean Vulnerable Communities.
Can I
You
say
look it
this?
up online.
I want to say this to you. I want to say this to you. And this is why, and so you and I can have this clear conversation. Maybe nobody else locally can tell you this, but I can tell you this. This is why there is an idea of a conspiracy. This is an idea of a perpetual web that exists, that's being weaved externally to pull our people in. Let me tell you why. If you're able to police yourself, that means policing is not just being able to identify and take this information. Who is now accepting this information from an NGO within a sovereign state to indicate that despite the fact that the official authority is not saying that you were abused, the NGO can identify that you were abused and you can get access to another international space of which sovereign unto themselves, and you get complete access of asylum. That to me is bananas.
Through the human rights framework, through the treaties and conventions that the Bahamas has signed on to. Through the human rights framework, we are able to do our work from a human rights perspective. That's why you see they say asylum is an individual choice. That's a human right. So if you go down to the list of freedoms of human rights, asylum being one of them. Anybody has a right to that, be it straight, be it gay, be it whatever you are, religious, be it politics, being a politician, you have a right to an asylum as a human being.
I have so much questions for you.
Teaching our people what are human rights, what is available to us as human beings living in the world. It's an international treaty.
Alexis, I have so much questions for you. You caused this. You open up this worm, this can of worms, right?
You see, they stop educating our people on why it's important to vote for women's rights.
Let's talk business. 2 seconds. We can talk business, and then I can take a break. 2 seconds. Okay. I can talk business. Is there a community within the LGBT? Is there a subsector within the LGBT community? If you are an entrepreneur and you wish to sell novelty items, let's say hypothetically, and you wish to sell novelty items, but you need startup capital. Come on out, be honest with me, be transparent with me. Let's be decent. You need startup capital to get this. You need to be able to get your brick and mortar. You need to do this, so forth and so on. Is there angel investors that can be able to assist you within the subsector of your community that gives you access to funds and capital?
Yes, through the organization called CVC. They have this program called Sea Change. And what they do is they invest in vulnerable communities who may have a difficult time accessing funding based on their social economic background. And they be able to make them entrepreneurs.
So if you get all this benefit as a member of the LGBT community.
No. It's not LGBT. It's vulnerable. The key word is vulnerable. Okay. Don't just single out LGBT, because this program is available to people who are disabled. This program is available to retired elderly people. This program is available to impoverished youth. This program is available.
But as black people, all of us vulnerable. It ain't available to me.
Again, that's what I'm saying. There are programs out there that you can be a part of. If you notice in the Bahamas, the programs that you see that these NGOs are operating are basically feeding programs, home programs, paying rent, that type of stuff. But we're trying to show these people how to become business owners and entrepreneurs. And guess what? In our Pride event, there's something called a night market. And that night market is if you have a product that you would like to sell to members of the public, because the night market is open to anybody, members of the public, members of the community, you come to my night market and you sell your product. So we empower our Bahamian people to be able to sell their items, their crafts, their art, their scroll work to our event.
Why infringe? Why even try to dabble in the formal heterosexual society laden in Christian values?
Because there's something in the LGBTI community, it's called LGBTIQA. And the A in that stands for ally.
Assimilate? Okay, talk to me. Now, let me. Why I say that is this, because if I am content within the confines of my community and we're able, because it's all about survival, we're able to not only survive but thrive, why now would you even dabble in an external community to get them to be a part or to acknowledge what you're doing? The acknowledgement exists within the confines of those persons in your community.
Because in the umbrella, there's called A, LGBTIQA. The A stands for allies. Allies are persons who are not LGBTI. So they may have families who are LGBTI. They may have a business, and people, the LGBTI community, supports their business. So this is their way of showing support for that community.
You have to
and
come
that's
on with
what
me.
the A in LGBTIQA stands for, allies. These are not people who are a part of the community, but they have children, family members, or businesses. And these LGBTIQI people support
Alexis,
their businesses and they support their families.
You know I have a tremendous amount of questions to talk about the formality of this community that exists. That, you know what? Just
I mean,
as
it's no
though-
different. It's no different from the Lodge. They have their community. It's no different from the Junction community. It's no different. People have the right to associate to whatever community they wish to, and that's the beauty of
But
the
you're fighting the Christian Council, though.
Pardon?
You're fighting the Christian Council.
I'm not fighting them. They're fighting us.
Hypothetically.
No. We're not fighting them. They're fighting us because we're still doing our work. They come once a year, and that's during Pride Week. Once a year. But we fight all year.
This
I
is
close with
bananas.
that comment.
Do not forget to call, text, and so we can
I've texted
formalize
that
this.
number, but it seems like I have to send an invite to that
827.
number.
Oh, no. This is my phone. 827-0111. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
You could
Okay,
call
I'll try
that.
again.
Call it.
I think it's my phone banned from these WhatsApp, but I'll put it from a different number.
Okay. Well, that's my phone. I'll get you. Thank you so much, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm blown away. I am absolutely This is mind-boggling. For the longest time, we would have been able to see Louis Farrakhan come over to talk about the necessity for being able to unify Black persons who have been disenfranchised for a long time. We have now been able to see the formation of communities to talk about reparations and the importance of being able to identify spaces that have been able to extract from us and really excavate our talents for years whilst they develop their particular products. Now, there is a sort of an idea of how we can get our monies back. Black people, collectively, as a race, have been fighting for an opportunity to be seen for a long time. For a very long time, looking for this kind of a space. And even with the development of Black Wall Street in the United States of America, when they said, okay, well, we'll create a small subsector unto ourselves that we can thrive and do well. That was burnt down by persons who were fanatics, such as the KKK, that believed in this sort of an idea that, listen, the supremacy that exists is not for subsectors of society. You are 3/8, 5/8, was it 3/8 or 5/8 humanoid. And we cannot accept this opportunity. They burned Black Wall Street down. You could see historically there has always been stories that has been told about how Black people have been refused their rights and treated like cattle. Now comes this agenda, formalized for most part out of San Francisco, right? And out of San Francisco, you guys, you're calling me on my telephone, you're wilding out. Please, give me a telephone call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Out of San Francisco, we've seen the emergence of the gay community, quote unquote, right? That eventually morphed into the Rainbow Society and then eventually morphed into the LGBT community. In fact, there was this allegations and speculations that BLM, Black Lives Matter, was funded and organized by this. That is why this sort of a concurrent theme that run to say that, well, Black people were segregated just as the LGBT community was segregated and separated from formal society for a long. Listen, this conversation way too heavy today. But the one thing that we don't have is organization within the Black community. There's no place I could go and get a loan if I've been rejected by the formal banks. There's no place. Other than I could go beg somebody. There's no place I can go. So my only question is, why bother? Why? If you straight. We got to talk like that. Let me take this telephone call. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead. No? Next caller. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Yes, pleasant good afternoon.
Thanks so much for holding. What's happening with you?
Yes, boy, this is a heavy topic today.
Isn't it heavy?
Yes, and see, I'm going to go a little bit biblical and then...
Turn your thing down. Go ahead.
The fact of the matter is this: righteousness exalts a nation, sin is a reproach.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have an asylum against Christ? Can you? Can I ask that question?
Now, there's no place. Okay, so me and you getting deep now because you but you know I swim, so you need to stop. First and foremost, Christ in his particular stead has always been viewed as our defendant in the court. Historically, this is how we've been known. You got to turn the thing down. I keep hearing an echo. Turn your telephone down. Turn your radio down. Right? Christ. Okay, hold on. Let me put you on mute. Christ historically has been identified as a person or as an entity who has always been able to be the bridge between us and the Father. When the Word of God says, no man comes unto the Father unless by me, he is the person who actually carries it. So you cannot have an asylum against him. You either make a decision to be able to move on a path of righteousness or you go contrary. There's no gray area there. There's no gray area that exists there. This is based upon our faith. This is only this decision or a contrary decision, which is the road is wide and takes you to all these particular subsectors, right? Guys, you got to let me take a break. We are 1:42. I got to take this break. I see your telephone calls. You all are wilding out today. This is blowing my mind today. I got to take this commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, pay some bills and get back here because Alexis DeMarco threw this thing on the table and it blew my mind to know that the formality of this subsector is bigger than any of us can imagine. How is it that I could supersede the sovereignty of a nation under any treaty to give persons access in a community to another international space and there's no one contesting this? Bananas! When it was, let's say hypothetically, when it was anything to do with the cases for immigration, and we saw Fred Smith, it went through formality in a court of law. And information was placed on the table to indicate the infractions. And then access and opportunity was given. This supersedes that entirely. Quick commercial break. Be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation.
At Marco's Pizza, try the Pepperoni Magnifico, Sausage Magnifico, or the Ultimate Magnifico Pizzas, starting at $18.50. The new bold Magnifico Pizzas are loaded with your choice of either Old World sausage or pepperoni and traditional pepperoni or sausage, topped with Roma San seasoning, made with Marco's original sauce and 3 cheeses. Order the new Magnifico Pizzas on Marco's Pizza Bahamas app or online. Available for a limited time.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, heat and cooling water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
It's Whopper Wednesday every Wednesday at Burger King Nassau. Make your Wednesday sizzle and sink your teeth into a flame-grilled beef patty topped with tomatoes, fresh-cut lettuce, mayo, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onions, all on a toasted sesame seed bun with fries for only $5.95, including VAT. This Whopper Wednesday, grab a friend and head down to your favorite BK Nassau location for a flame-grilled Whopper made your way with crisp fries for only $5.95. Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
Struggling to repay your loan? Let us help you get back on track with payment terms that suits your financial situation and improve your credit score and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Inquire about our restructured loans today. Call us at 356-7764.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. Buy your local paper at Freeport convenience stores, Western Bakery, De Gregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Want to reach your Grand Bahama customers? Then call Barefoot Marketing at 827-4578 or message them for ad rates via their Facebook page. Advertising opportunities now include classified ads too. Keep up with all the latest Grand Bahama news in the Nassau Guardian newspaper every Tuesday.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Monday afternoon, October 2nd, live and in full effect here, chopping the thing down, the foundation. The lines are wide open. Be a part of it. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. I am blown away by the depth of and the intricacy involved in the formality of a subsector of our society. I'm blown away. I am. That I don't have to go through any of the red tape to get to the objective, that there is a subsector with arms wide open to be able to accept persons who are having issues, whether you're LGBTQ, whether you are disabled, whether you're an old person, right? Whatever the infractions exist, there is a community with arms wide open to provide you an opportunity to be able to navigate this very difficult space. I'm blown away by that. Give me a call, guys. The lines are wide open. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good day, Howard.
Good day, my dear. Thanks so much for holding.
Yeah, I hear you threatening somebody, but you will swim. You know you don't gonna do nothing but float. Don't swim. Swim nothing.
I can swim. You need to stop, right? Go ahead.
Listen, listening to the person that called you, I don't want to use the wrong...
Alexis. That's Alexis.
Alexis.
Okay,
yeah. Thank you, Alexis. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like they have everything they need. So I'm not interested in what they do. I don't bother anyone, and most persons I know don't bother anyone. So what is it that you're trying to educate me on? I don't want to know what you do. I'm sorry. You know, you sound like you got it more together than I do. I think I need to go and ask for one of them asylum. I don't know how to pretend, but listen, God knows I could try. Mm-hmm. You know, because you all seem like you all got it all together. So, see, that's my thing. If you guys have it all together or have so much of it together that, I know she say association, but I don't get it. I still don't get what the push is for. Because I've always said that by
she
only
says allies. Alexis has indicated allies.
Yes,
right?
that's the word I try to remember.
Allies. You know, the conspiracy is the conspiracy associated with it.
Selling. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with selling to them. I don't have a problem with purchasing from them. I don't have a problem with them on the whole. I could care less what you do. We all got to stand before God for ourselves when that day come. You know? So why try to educate me on what it is that you do? I could care less. I'm so sorry. That's my issue with it. Don't educate me on it. I don't care.
Wow.
If I see a lady, good day, ma'am. If I see a man, good day, sir. And I go about my business, and I'm pretty sure the way the humans generally are, we could care less. We get in home and we can sit down, we might gossip and say, boy, I wonder if that was a he or she I spoke to this hour. Well, anyway, don't matter because I haven't passed that. You understand me? So what is it that you're trying to educate me on? What is it that you're trying to educate my children on? That is my issue with it. Don't educate them on it. If they come across it and are curious about it, that's different. But please don't push it out there.
But you educating your children, and I got to let you go. I got a bunch of telephone calls, so I can let you go. Okay? But you educating your children, though. Okay, so my son is having, my son and I, we're having this conversation about the possibility of being able to send him off to school, right? Into a space that I'm familiar with, but not necessarily so. Like I've lived there for a short time, so I know what he may encounter within Middle America, right? He will go, well, we're talking about possibly sending him to Utah. Now, I've lived in Denver for a little while, so I'm telling him what he's going to come up against. I'm telling him that we're going to send him to the lily of the valley. Talk to me. That's just what it is, right? And my responsibility is to let him know, based upon the time that I was there, what I came up against. Okay, so significant drug use, this sort of a goth society, all these. I'm telling him about it, right? So don't say that I don't want to be educated about it. I need to be at least aware of what exists in their spaces to make a determination on how to navigate that. You don't want to send your children into that blind, but you don't want to send your children into a space where they're so open. You know how many persons go off to school and come back carrying different gods? Like they go off to school and they don't even understand that this is worship. They just see this as, well, everybody's doing it. And no one told them that this is worship. So we need to understand what we sending our kids into. Next telephone call. Caller, you're on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Howard Grant.
Good afternoon, my brother. Thanks so much for holding.
Yeah, Howard, the lady gave me a good laugh, right? But I'm not a pretender, and they won't surrender to the agenda. Don't matter the splendor, okay? Now, the gentleman said that community is people of God and they whatever, right? But God said, be fruitful and multiply. Only thing I like that he's truthful. But I don't even want to dwell on the conversation, but it seems to me as if the gay community is very powerful and they have a parallel society. But what I'm vexed about is I didn't hear any of these people during the pandemic as I am suffering from post-pandemic depression disorder. And so what happens is the young man's death at Queens College, right, made me did some retrospect, right? Right? And so now I'm saying that was he vaccinated? He's a young man, like many others throughout the world, and sports heroes and people alike are being just dying haphazardly, abruptly, suddenly with no symptoms, no problems, right? And so then the question becomes sudden death syndrome. I don't believe in sudden adult death syndrome. I call it stupid adult death syndrome because you should have enough sense to not be a part of an experiment. So I heard him say that there's a place you can go and put in complaints for human rights. I want to do one against Atlantis and all of the other entities that excluded me from entering and having fun or enjoying myself because I wasn't vaccinated based on their dumb science, right? That is proved futile in being vaccinated. Yet still they have turned around and passed laws in which a pandemic doesn't mean the disease is deadly once it's widespread. And they have passed new definitions of vaccinations that it doesn't have to secure immunity. So what they are doing is actually controlling the models. And science is not science anymore. It's what they say it is. So this is not, you understand. So and I'll guarantee you this. This is my hypothesis, okay? Now, if that young man is vaccinated, then his people would have contributed to his death. And my condolences go to him. Let me tell you something, Howard.
That
young man, listen to me. This upset me, okay? Now, the young man is young, very intelligent, went to school in a basketball practice, felt dead good, and all of a sudden collapsed. No yes, no perhaps. And I must sit back as a person and say, allow this man's life to go in vain. So, an autopsy, right? And I guarantee you this. It only could have been myo or pericarditis or thrombosis. Nothing else could have killed that young man. But yet still, we don't have adverse event reporting system, all right, like in a first world country that they so adhere to what Marxism presents. So people have been dying post-vaccination. People have said that people will be falling out abruptly after these vaccinations, But we don't have no data on anything. Now, you could give me any explanation for all of the young people throughout the world, all the athletes, all the TV reporters falling out on TV with no symptoms and no complaints before dying abruptly from stupid adult death syndrome. But this young man died from sudden death syndrome because he's not an adult. Wow. So what the medical community have done is... But
so we don't even know, though. We don't know if he was even vaccinated because my kids aren't.
Yeah, but that's you, Howard. But many people were brainwashed, Sir Howard. They have a commercial with a young man who actually is a fool on the radio saying, my parents got me vaccinated because they love me. That's BS. I'm sorry to say that. But my condolences goes out to the young man and his family because I am saying that is my son also because we lost a great potential. And so one of the guys who graduated me from St. John's had 4 A's and 4 B's. He died early too in life from a brain tumor. Wow. But it wasn't because of the vaccination. What I'm saying is more likely this young man was vaccinated. Wow. And that's just the way I feel. And most people wouldn't admit that. So was all of the customer officers and all these other people who were healthy and died in their sleep and did some problems and just died suddenly. But yet still, we don't have no adverse events reporting system. And even with death, we have no data on breakthrough cases, severity of breakthrough cases, nothing. Nothing. So we are dummies, and we are still on the plantation because you're too smart and you're asking too much questions. Bless up.
52, before we go there, we have to have clarity of the situation. We have to understand these things. All this is allegations and speculation. And to be able to charge that information, especially socially, because people know that you're a learned guy and you do your significant research, but to kind of charge the atmosphere with that, without us being able to have a proper synopsis, a postmortem synopsis, and this kind of a position, I think is an injustice to society. All right, so let's find out first. Caller, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Howard. How you doing?
Hey, Natino. Hey, Natino.
How you doing?
I'm
still
good.
waiting on that call, though.
Oh, yes, Natino. You will get the call. What you saying?
So, I mean, I hear everyone talking, right? I heard the call of, that was 52 and then the lady before. I need us to understand one thing, right? When it comes to the rights of LGBT plus people, the lady was saying that it sounds as if LGBT plus people have everything. In the same way that Lyle Bassel can get up and say that women have rights when it's clear that women are discriminated against and they lack the access. That is the same kind of situation that LGBT plus people find themselves in. I need us to stop saying this, right? The reason why we're asking or we're being as assertive as we are in our push is because our community finds it difficult to access these things that should be accessible to us. It does not mean that other Bahamians are not being affected in other ways.
From a formal society standpoint, Latino, that's what we learned from Alexis today. From a formal society standpoint, the issue with LGBTQ plus persons are having is formality and being accepted. However, you're still able to function in a subsector of society, which blowing my mind.
Well, see, and this is the issue. This is why we have to continue to have the conversations because it's complicated, right? Some people, watch this, you have to factor in social class. So if you have money as an LGBT plus person, you can navigate Bahamian society and
you mean to tell me there is even segregation within the LGBTQ plus community?
Yes.
This is bananas. You are blowing my mind today.
But Howard, this is what I keep talking about.
So classism exists in a subsector that has already been rejected from formality in society. This is bananas.
But here's the thing. But Howard, I need us to understand the LGBT plus community is a microcosm of the wider Bahamian society. So whatever.
So you might as well just stay here. You might as well don't bother with the community and stay here. Because if you're going to endure the same issues within a subsector community that says we have proverbial arms open for you, and you still find this kind of a struggle, then what the hell are you involved in the community for?
No. You're misunderstanding though. Watch this. The community. Watch this. That isn't the community's fault.
It's 2 o'clock.
This is a wider social structural problem. I just told you that it's the LGBT community is a microcosm of the wider Bahamian society. In the same way that the church reflects particular aspects of the wider Bahamian society, the same way that schools reflect the wider aspects of Bahamian society. So whatever's happening within the community is actually what's been happening at large in the entire archipelago, and that's the issue. We're not getting that correlation. So that has nothing to do with the community itself.
I will have this conversation this week, Latino.
Hold up,
but I don't know whether or not.
No.
Okay, so tell you what we can do. We can pre-record the conversation. You know why? Because this week ain't going to allow me to do it. You get the house opening and so forth and so on. So I'll call you. I got your number.
Okay.
I'll give you a shout. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show today. I thank you so very kindly. The thing got hot. I thought Nelly was in the studio. It is bananas in here. Flaming. Y'all are wild. But we got to get clarity and very clear understanding. I get a tremendous amount of text. Tomorrow I told you that we're going to have Bishop Delton Fernanda and Vice President of the Bahamas Christian Council, none other than Pastor Mario Moxie, come and sit with us at least for an hour tomorrow. I know you got a tremendous amount of questions. Please do so. Send it up to me. 827-0111, 827-0111. This is The Foundation with Howard Grant. We're going to see you tomorrow right here, live and in full effect, 96.9 FM radio. Guys, have a beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow. God spare.
the foundation.